Welcome to this course about learning how online small groups work. My name is Jay and I'm Saddleback's online campus pastor, and I'm really excited to talk to you about how you can bring online small groups to your campus, to your church, or to your ministry. Online small groups at Saddleback has been a tremendous way we've experienced growth in our online community and also help facilitate growth at our local campuses and locations around the world. And so in this course, we're going to talk about all sorts of things, but I really want to start off with some prayer and really pray over our time together as we kind of explore online small groups and really help paint a picture how you can bring small groups, online small groups, to your community. So let's pray. God, I thank you so much for this time together that this person or this team is spending together learning what online small groups are about. I pray, God, that you lead them and guide them on what and how online small groups could look at their ministry, at their church, and also speak through me as I share different learnings our church has experienced going through this journey of having online small groups. And I pray this in Jesus' name, amen. With that, I want to start at the beginning. Why are online small groups valuable? Why even do this? Because if you think about it, we do live in a digitally isolated age. You know, technology and social media, all these things are creating compelling things, but also there's some risk and there's some real issues. People are more lonely than ever, but they have thousands of followers on Facebook and Twitter and so forth. And so why do this? And I believe the number one reason is because we want to reach people and we want to give them experiences of who Jesus is, and we want to go to them. And online groups are a compelling way to reach people where they're at and bring them into face-to-face community. And so number one, it really is valuable because it's a first step for people to experience your church, meaning it's a front door. Not only can they be invited to an online service if you stream something on a page, or maybe you upload your content to like a YouTube channel, but now by engaging in an online group, a friend or a member of your church can invite their neighbor into an online group, and they can not just experience content, but they actually can experience what community looks like. Now, I'm not saying online community is the fullest expression of what biblical community is. I believe that is face-to-face, but that doesn't mean something can happen online, and you can encourage people online. You can build up trust online that can lead them to coming face to face. And online small groups is a great way to extend the front door of your church. That we're not living in an age where people just come to your church just because you have a cross on top of your building. People are coming to your church because of relationships, and online groups is a great way to extend kind of the space of your church by encouraging people to launch online small groups. It's also a way to reach hurting people and give them a taste of your church in a safe way. And this is something we've really experienced online, that there are people that engage with us online because they're either in a season of life where they're grieving, or they've lost somebody, or they've been hurt by somebody at a church. And really, as they launch into online ministry and engage in an online small group, it's a way that they are putting kind of their toes in the water again and seeing what does it look like actually to engage. And the great thing is you leverage existing relationships. So somebody who's attending your church, maybe they have a neighbor who won't come to church for whatever reason, and they launch an online group for 6 weeks, and they go, hey, I'm not asking you to come here. I'm asking you to log in and be part of this online group. And so we want to encourage that and provide a way for any campus, any church, any ministry to kind of extend the reach of your church by having an online small group ministry. And then really, there's also no excuses. Is that what we have found is small groups are a great way to extend the reach of your church and provide a discipleship and fellowship strategy. But unfortunately, not everybody can just go to a group down the street or has the same schedule. Maybe they're working nights, and so they only can do groups during the day, and maybe they don't have a group right now that they can meet. And what we have found is online groups are kind of this kind of safety net where we always have an online group going on. And our online groups consist of people because it's no longer about location, but it's about time. Somebody in England can be part of a group that meets in the morning in California and vice versa. And our online groups at Saddleback consist of members from all around the world. And because of that, no matter what is happening, there is always an open online small group. And it's not about getting into a car or getting on a bus and being here at a certain time. It's just about logging on at this time. And it becomes a great kind of catch-all for anybody. And then lastly, and you might not believe this, you might go like, Jay, that doesn't make any sense. And trust me, it does. It will help you launch more physical face-to-face small groups. And we're going to talk about this in the strategy end, but what happens is people will engage in an online small group for a season. And then after about 6 to 18 months is they'll go, you know what? I think I can do this in my home. And it will actually encourage people and give them an experience of like, oh, this is what a small group is. And many people will come up to me after being part of an online group for a bit and they'll go, Jay, I'm so sorry. I think it's time for me to actually launch a group in my home or a group at my workplace. And they think it's a negative. And I always tell them, no, like, this is a good thing. We want you to be in face-to-face community, and online groups is a great kind of starter phase to kind of educate people what small groups are all about. And so those are some reasons why online small groups have been valuable to us, and I believe will be valuable to your ministry, to your campus, to your church. So next, what I want to do is I actually want to get into an overview of small groups, not online small groups, but just small groups. Now, I'm not going to get into a bunch of details here because small groups is a big thing. There's a lot of methodology and theology behind that. I'm going to give you a little bit of the footnotes here, like kind of high level. In high school I had Spark Notes or whatever, where you'd like instead of reading the whole book, I'd just kind of give you the highlights. This is kind of the highlights. And so first off, with how small groups work, and the same thing with online small groups, is we are looking for a facilitator, not a teacher. And this is why we actually call our leaders hosts, is that they are hosting a conversation. And because we use curriculum, primarily video curriculum, we can lower the threshold of kind of the expertise of the leader, of the actual group. And so with an online group, we're just looking for somebody to facilitate a conversation because mainly they are reaching their friends. And so the reason why online small groups work is because we use this model. We're looking for a facilitator, not a teacher. And we just want you to get together with your friends and have some conversations that we help guide with curriculum we offer online. We're also really focused on circles and not rows. And so the idea is like maybe a Bible study that maybe you've been part of is you have somebody who's like the expert. Maybe they have the ministry degree and they're sitting up front and you got everybody kind of sitting in rows and you're telling them, what the wisdom that, it's kind of like a matrix scene, they're draining everything But we're looking for circles. We're looking for everybody looking at each other. They're at equal standing. Yes, there might be people with some more experience, but there's almost like this transformation star happening where I'm learning from you, you're learning from me, and we're all learning together. And so small groups focus is not about knowledge, but it's about life change. It's about us all learning how to be better followers of Jesus. And so, yes, I might have more knowledge because of my, of my background from going to seminary, but that doesn't mean you can't teach me how to be a better husband or a better, a dad. And that's about we're all learning together. And so online small groups are the same thing. When they get together on a Skype call or on a Zoom call, is that we want everybody to talk equally. It's not about finding one expert. This is also really key. All of our online small groups and physical small groups is about expressing all 5 of the biblical purposes. And we unpack this. If you've been part of Saddleback in any way, this is super familiar. We get these purposes from the Great Commission and the Great Commandment, Matthew 22, Matthew 28, also kind of brought up again in the early church, and Paul reaffirms them. But these are the purpose of evangelism, the purpose of fellowship, of discipleship, ministry, and worship. And the idea is in a period of time, over 6 months, we want each of these purposes to be expressed. And that's even true with our online groups. And so what this really means is that it's not just about studying the Bible. That's discipleship. That's important. But it's also about worshiping together, having communion together. It's about evangelizing, actually having a session where you actually spend time learning about what does it mean to share your faith. And maybe you write down 2 names that you're praying for that you're going to invite to church. And the idea is that over a period of 6 months, we want each of these purposes to be expressed. Now, we're not looking for each purpose in every time together because it's not about equal timing, but it's about over a period of 6 months doing that. And we actually, at Saddleback, we have some tools like the health assessment, both individually and for the group. And you can find out maybe we're weak in worship or maybe we're strong in fellowship. And that might mean the next curriculum you go through needs to be a focus in one of these areas. And we help groups do that. And then the other thing is we actually have a training that we encourage all of our small group leaders, our physical small group leaders that meet face-to-face, and our online small group leaders go through, we call it LT1 for short, but it's about teaching the host, the leader of the group and the co-host on how to have a healthy group. And we encourage all of our online small group hosts to go through the same thing. And we have found time and time again is that the biggest difference between an online small group and a face-to-face small group is just the medium. It's how they meet. And the key is people are online and people are face-to-face. And so if people are face-to-face, you're going to have people problems. If people are online, you're going to have people problems online. And so it's really about just teaching them the basics of what a small group looks like. Here's some principles. And so we go through both online small groups and face-to-face small group go through the same training, LT1. And then lastly, I gotta give a plug for this. Steve is my boss, so if I don't do this, I might get in trouble. I'm just kidding. He is my boss, and I probably would get in trouble. But he wrote a book called Small Groups with Purpose. And if you really are watching this and you're like, you know what, I don't know that much about small groups, I would highly recommend check out Small Groups with Purpose, and you get a more deeper digest. Again, I just wanted to go over the highlights because this is how we do small groups at Saddleback, and this is the foundation that have made online small groups successful. So that's a quick overview of how small groups work at Saddleback. And as we move into the next section, I want to actually get into the strategy of online small groups. So let's actually get into the nitty-gritty of what does it look like to do online small groups, and what are some really important strategic thoughts. So first off, this is really big. This is the big one. Video. So typically when a small group gets together, face-to-face, you get together and you're watching something or you're reading something. And what we have found with online small groups is that there's two ways online small groups work. Is that sometimes some online groups get together and they will have, prior to the meeting, actually watch the video or the curriculum individually. And so, or they'll get together and they'll watch it real time. And so this might mean in a traditional small group, you would get in a house and you would maybe, back in the day, like when we were first starting small groups, well, I would say this is actually before me. Saddleback used to do VHS tapes, and now they did DVDs, and now we've gone digital. But actually part of the strategy was put in the DVD and hit play. Well, because online groups, we never wanted to be in the business of shipping things. We just had something digitally that they would play. And because we don't have to now ship the DVD to every member, or the host doesn't just have the DVD, every member of the group can get access to it. And it doesn't cost us more money because it's digital. An extra play isn't more expensive. And so what we have found is most of our online small groups, what they do is that they watch the video for that week prior to meeting. So let's say they meet on Tuesday, the host will send out an email on Monday and say, hey, by the way, before Tuesday or before Thursday, whenever you meet, watch week 1 on our platform and here. And so for Saddleback, we have a platform that they log in through our Saddleback account and they get access to our curriculum, and you can choose whatever platform, or maybe it's a YouTube link or wherever it is, say, watch this video together. And so if it's a couples online small group, the couple will, instead of watching Netflix that week, they'll watch week 1 of this series and they'll watch it together. And so when they actually meet, online small groups typically don't want to spend, burn 20, 30 minutes watching a video together on a call. It's a little weird. And so 90% of our online small groups actually watch things on demand individually. And when they meet, they jump right to conversation. And so some of our online small groups do watch videos real time together. And so what you can do on like a Zoom or a Skype, you can use a share your screen feature where you can actually share your screen. You can go to the web browser and you can watch the video together. You have to make sure you have share the audio of your computer so that people can hear it. But again, 90% of our online small groups, they watch the video prior to meeting, and when they meet, they focus on conversation. So that's a big strategy difference from face-to-face small groups and online small groups. And I've even found it's interesting. I've noticed this shift with even my own small group. I'm part of a small group with a couple other couples, but we have 15 kids between all of us. When we get together on Tuesday nights, we usually don't want to burn 30 minutes as the kids fight in the other room watching something. We want to jump right to a conversation. So actually, the last time we went through a big church-wide campaign here at our church, everybody watched it prior to meeting, and it worked really seamlessly. And so I've even noticed this shift here locally at our own church and a lot of our face-to-face groups where they're watching stuff on demand individually. And a lot of that shift came because we don't just have one DVD now. Everybody can get access. So the video part is a big strategy difference. Next is we've learned that people are very opinionated about technology. And that's something you have to understand in your strategy. And I got to be honest, you got to be okay with it. People are particular. I mean, if I say like it's Mac or PC and you're a Macintosh guy, you've already gone like, wait. Mac is a PC. You're like, it is a personal computer and you're already trying to fight with me about it. But that's okay. We're not in the business of trying to say, this is how you meet. We just want you to meet. And so you'll find people are more, they have preferences. They might go, oh, you know what? I love Skype because, you know, in my workplace, all I use is Skype. Or I love Zoom because I have a paid account and I use it for my small business. Technology is also geographic. There's technologies like in China, like WeChat, or internationally, WhatsApp is very familiar. Don't be in the business of saying this is how you have to meet. Just tell them they need to meet regularly with their friends and have a preferred platform like a Zoom. I would recommend is really easy to use. It does cost money, but if they want to meet on another platform, that's great. I found with workplaces, like sometimes people use like a Cisco or some kind of go to my PC, whatever it is, be okay with it. Don't get in the way and kind of forcing changes or forcing technology. Let them meet however they want to meet. So that's been something that's really important. And once we got out of that kind of like, this is how you had to kind of meet during your online group, we had this explosion because people realized we just wanted you to gather together with your friends and we didn't really care how you did it. There were some platforms that were better, but if you had a platform that worked with your friends, great. The next one is process is really important in our strategy. And I want to back up here because I think this is really important, is that our online small groups meet in all sorts of ways. But what's important is that we do shepherd them to an ultimate goal. And what that looks like is we do have a small percentage of our groups that meet text-based, that they'll actually, for example, they'll get together on a Tuesday night and somebody will post questions and they'll use like iMessenger or Slack or some kind of messaging platform and they meet. Now, we're okay with that because on the back end, what we do is we check in and monitor our groups. And we usually do that every month. We check in and go, how's your group going? We actually encourage our text-based groups to actually move to voice-based. We're like, hey, why don't you meet on a phone call or get on like an audio only type of call where you can hear each other, because phone calls are better than text messages. They might not be as convenient. You know, somebody who loves texting, I'm always like, why are you calling me? But phone calls are really good because you can hear inflections, you can hear someone's voice, you get to know somebody more. And so our text messaging type of groups, we move them to phone calls. And then our phone call kind of audio only groups, we actually eventually want to meet them, encourage them to move to videos, because videos are even more intimate because you get to see someone's face. You know, on a phone call, you might be able to like mute it and do the dishes while people are talking, but on a video call, you have to pay attention, which means it leads to better conversation. And then ultimately, even our video only calls, we eventually want to move them to face-to-face groups. And so by having this process, we're okay with allowing them to meet however they want for the first 6 months. And then what happens is, as we check in with the groups, we go, hey, you've been doing this for a season. I think it's time you move to this. And we ultimately are always moving our groups to face over a period of 6 to 18 months. Now, I'll just say this. People are part of online groups for all sorts of reasons. This is not a rigid rule where we go, in the next 6 to 18 months, you need to be in a home. No, that's not the rule. The idea is that it's heartfelt. It's understanding why are they part of online groups. And ultimately, we know that if majority of our groups, if they're part of an online group for a season, they'll start to realize, oh, you know what? I need to be in face-to-face community. And by being part of an online group for the last, couple months, it actually taught them what small groups are about. And we find that by doing this, we launch and we convert a high percentage of our online groups become physical small groups that meet in homes over a period of 18 months. But that's a very important thing, because you might go, we don't want text-based groups. Well, I think you can be okay with it if you have this kind of process where you're ultimately leading them to a better expression. And most groups do kind of upgrade to a better expression as they get to know each other.